Hey, all right. Now we're jamming. Okay, so take a gander at what's in front of you. So going through the bulk of the Burn the Witch essays, family tree essays, thesis statements, and topic sentences are generally in good shape. Your ability to select quotes that do a good job of supporting your thesis statement and topic sentences are generally in good shape. Where most people are having a problem that bothers me relates with how well you are engaging with the quotes that you use. What I mean by that is that you have selected good quotes, and you have, in many cases, even woven those quotes well into your own writing. However, you don't do a good job of capitalizing on analyzing the quote. So we're just going to work through this sheet. This sheet does, I hope, a good job of explaining where we're at and what I want you to try to work towards. So when writing about diction or figurative language, whenever you're using a quote, it's automatically diction. It is important that you engage in the specific words that are used in the text. It isn't enough to just use an interesting quote. You need to engage with the quote you're writing. Here's an example. This is where most people are at. The bold stuff is what we're going to want to change. Burn the Witch informs readers how to survive if they are complacent while implying threat to those who would challenge the status quo. The society in Burn the Witch is one that takes radical action that many may not agree with. So topic, sentence, context. Here we go. Citizens, in order to survive peacefully in society, must stay in the shadows, avoid standing out, and cheer at the gallows, play along with their society's actions. Citizens who accept this apathetic state of complacency will survive the roundup that plagues their society. Okay, so this is where most of us are at. I highlighted stay in the shadows, avoid standing out, and cheer at the gallows, playing along with their society's actions, because that part is what needs to change. Stay in the shadows. What is the interesting word or idea in that sentence or in that little excerpt? Shadows, right? Why are shadows interesting? All right, and how do you get hiding from shadows? Yeah, shadows are dark. You hide in the dark. That's what needs to be in this writer's analysis. It's you are taking too much of a leap to just say, yep, shadows equals staying in the shadows equals hiding. As a writer, you need to engage with that sentence and explain why and how. Same thing with cheering at the gallows. Okay, so cheering at the gallows means to play along with society's actions. How so?
Why would you cheer at gallows? You're hanging someone.
Yeah, so gallows are where death happens. To cheer at the gallows means that you're cheering death that is inspired by the man or state. Does that make sense? Okay, that's what needs to be in here. So the writer correctly connects the quote with the idea of not standing out, but the writer doesn't do any legwork to analyze why or how staying in the shadows means avoid standing out. To those of you that assert the connection is obvious, that may be true for some people, but our job as academic writers is to make the connections and logic so obvious for our readers that what we present must be true. Typo. Here is an example of the previous excerpt revised to include more of the writer's analysis. The society in which Burn the Witch, blah, 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 blah. In order to survive peacefully in society, must stay in the shadows and cheer at the gallows. Okay, now we're going to play around with that. By encouraging the listener to be in the darkness of the shadows, so there's the beginnings of it, the speaker could be encouraging the listener to use the darkness to hide, or the speaker could be encouraging the listener to embrace the darker pleasures of life, which would connect with the subsequent line by, and then we would go on to talk about what the Shoemaker was referencing as far as cheering at the gallows. Class, I need a vague acknowledgement of, does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I'm expecting you to try to do when you finally start drafting your new essay. Do a better job of engaging with the specific words in your song. So I would keep this by my side when I start drafting as a reminder of what you want to start doing. I was going to give you an activity to go along with this, but I kind of think that you need more time to get grounded in your current essay project as far as thesis statements, topic sentences, and understanding how you are going to connect these two songs. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have an annotation that you feel really good about? Great. How many of you have a thesis statement that you feel is semi-workable? Not polished, but iffy. How many of you don't really have an annotation yet? And how many of you don't have a thesis statement? So those of you who didn't raise your hand, where are you at?
Sorry. Annotated thesis statements.
You have your annotations and your thesis statements, you just don't feel great about them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So today I'm just going to sit down and try to conference with each one of you. For tomorrow, my expectation is you have your annotations, right? You have your thesis statement. It's in its embryonic stage now. You should have a good thesis statement by the time class is done, and then topic sentences for your thesis. Good to go? Alrighty. Is there any end of the room that wants me to start by them, or I'll just go on?